Yeah, it's a bunch of camera shit hanging off our heads.
Yep. Well, I had this camera thing hanging off my head at the class.
Oh, you did? Was it picked out or pointed out at anyone?
No, because there was no camera in it.
Oh, okay.
It was just the empty case.
Oh,
I didn't know if it was removable, so I didn't try.
All right, so do you want to start with anything? Like, I know we didn't do a video about
Yesterday?
About your buying experience yet, but I think maybe we're just past that. I don't know.
I don't think that we're past it, but why don't we talk about the classes while they're fresh in my head, and then we can go back to the buying stuff.
So what class are you taking, where, and how far are you into it?
So I'm taking the new course rider offered through the Riding Academy at Harley Davidson in Laconia, New Hampshire. Although really it's in Meredith. But anyways, it's like an hour and 15-minute drive each morning. And I guess I kind of feel like I'm lucky because they have a really small class size for this one. So
what's small, like 10 people?
Yeah, it's 10 people in the classroom yesterday, and I'll like go into more detail on that, but then for the 2 riding days, today and tomorrow, they split it into a morning group and an afternoon group. There are 4 of us in the morning and 6 in the afternoon.
Okay.
I'm definitely the least skilled and least knowledgeable of the 4 in the morning, and I'm the only girl. There are 3 girls in the afternoon, but yeah, it was.
You said the environment was pretty good though. It's not like a toxic environment or anything.
No, it was totally fine, and the instructors have been great. I've met all 3 of them.
Okay.
And the 3 guys were not like rushing me or being assholes about anything, and they were very patient and understanding and encouraging, so that was good.
Nice.
So today,
yesterday you said that yesterday was just classroom time?
Yesterday was mostly classroom time. So the first, my one critique of this so far has been that the first 90 minutes yesterday, so the very first day, it was supposed to be like just evening classroom time, I thought. But the first 90 minutes was spent bringing us to each department within that Harley Davidson dealership.
Oh, fun.
And trying to convince us to buy Harley gear and Harley parts, and these are the bikes that you should have. And it ended with the direct quote of, if someone doesn't own a Harley, and if they're not on a Harley, it's because they couldn't have a Harley. Everybody wants a Harley.
You mean they couldn't like afford one?
Right. They were implying that if you have anything other than a Harley, it's because you couldn't afford to own a Harley. And I kind of had a problem with that, but I understand that it's a Harley dealership and whatever.
Yeah.
But that was really the only time that they tried to kind of pressure anybody into getting a Harley. The rest of the time it really has been like what I assume is the typical MSF class.
Well, you had said though that, you had said that generally people were pretty nice though, although you said you were kind of picked off for having a BMW.
It wasn't really that I was picked on, it's that when, it was actually the opposite. That people were being kind of more supportive than anything, because when that guy said that in sales, someone raised their hand and they were like, yeah, but there's a chick in this class that owns a BMW that's a really nice bike, and I guarantee you if she had wanted a Harley, she could have bought one given what that BMW costs. Which, I don't really care either way, but they were all very like, you know, that's a really nice bike, and if that's the kind of bike that you want, then a Harley wouldn't be for you anyways.
I don't really like being singled out in this kind of situation, so I've been kind of uncomfortable about that.
I don't either, but we had just gone through introductions, which included like, do you own a bike and what kind? Mm-hmm. So I think it was just very fresh in everybody's minds, and it wasn't brought up in like a really aggressive way. And I mean, to be fair, nobody made it sound like it was a bike that I shouldn't have or would be too big for me. Like, they were all like, that's a really nice bike, you're going to really enjoy that. So I didn't really mind the way that they were talking about it.
And you had said that so far that like the classroom time last night was actually kind of a review of what we did already in the MSF e-learning course, which was like full 3 hours?
It was almost all a review. There were a few new things, like if you're carrying a passenger, this is information that you need, which was not in the online course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was mostly review, which was fine. I mean, it's expected, right? Like, they don't know if you're just playing this in the background and not really paying attention when you're at home.
Right. True.
Hopefully that's not the case, because, I mean, I don't mean to skip ahead, but the test today that I had to take, the written test, definitely required you to know stuff from that e-course.
But you did say that on Friday that you thought the JumpStart thing was pretty cool. So you guys are on Street 500s, right?
Yeah, so the first 90 minutes was that whole sales pitch that I could have done without. And then we went outside to this JumpStart where they had the Street 500 or 500 Street, whatever it's called, like hooked up to this JumpStart thing on a trailer. And so we were allowed to sit on it. Well, we had to sit on it and go up through the 5 gears and then go down to first and then put it into neutral.
What did the speedometer say at fifth gear? Were you like doing 60 or something?
They wanted us to get up beyond 50.
Okay.
So I think I hit 50. I think I just barely got over 50 because the coach was like, you could have gone a little faster, but I'm not going to make you redo it.
Try to lean forward to make sure you're still recording. Right, left side. Yeah, you're good. I think you're good. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So everybody did the JumpStart. A few people had to redo it. There are 3 other girls, and one of them is in my shoes, which is we haven't ever tried to take the course. We've never ridden a bike. We've only been on the back of bikes. The other 2 girls, one of them, she's an older woman who took the course in April and broke her leg taking the course, and so went back to retake it now that her leg is healed.
And you said your rider coach yesterday was riding a Harley. What were your 2 rider coaches today driving?
They both also had Harleys.
Okay.
Big ass Harleys. Like, one weighs 800 pounds, the other one weighs 900 pounds.
What did they do the actual, like, were they doing your exercises on them though?
No, they were doing them with the Street 500s.
Okay, cool.
Which was nice.
Yeah.
And
okay, so how did this morning go? If you don't have anything else to add until tomorrow. Sorry to rush you along. I know you didn't want to make it a long ride.
No, it's okay. So today was good. We got there, we went straight into the classroom just to meet, and then we went up to the range.
Yep.
I was super nervous, unsurprisingly. They first wanted to show us and remind us, I mean, all the really basic stuff, right? Like mounting and starting and the different checks that you're supposed to do, find C and all that fun stuff. T-clocks first. All that textbook stuff. And then we started by just like rocking the bike back and forth, which was fine. And then it was like rocking it back and forth with the friction zone is what they kept calling it.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we would walk it across the shorter side of the range
with the clutch pulled in and like ignition on, or just like the clutch pulled in and ignition off?
In the friction zone we were walking the bikes.
Nice. Okay, yeah, I remember doing that.
And then we would pull the clutch all the way in and like walk it to turn it around without the friction zone, because they didn't want anyone to screw up while turning.
Now, you have a bit of ignorance about bikes in general, which you'll rectify over time, but what did you think of the Street 500 in general? Did you find it to be pretty I don't know, decent? I'm
actually glad that it's what I'm learning on, because it's a smaller bike than the 750 that I have, but it's not like it's a tiny 250.
Yeah.
It's also really heavy. It's like 500 pounds.
Right, that's true.
So that's also comparable to my bike. So I'm sort of happy that it's not. I know that a lot of people really encourage you to use a lighter, smaller bike, but I'm glad that this is what I'm learning on, given what I have at home. What are you doing?
Letting someone pass.
Oh.
So I'm not going that fast. People are the locals that want to go faster.
Yeah. Sorry.
Friction zone, all right.
So we did that. I won't lie. I was very, very shaky and nervous, and I was still learning where that friction zone was, and I was with 3 guys who all have varying experiences, but more than me.
Yep.
So, Anyways, we then had to go in the same shorter direction across the range. They had us, you know, getting all the way into first and picking our feet all the way up and
Nice.
riding in very short straight lines.
How did that feel?
I was awful at that because I was still getting used to it all. So I did it and I would stay upright, but I was not going straight.
Oh, really? Interesting. Were you putting input on the bars?
Yeah, but this was in the first hour of me being on a bike and controlling a bike myself.
No, I know, but if I take the hands off the handlebars, it's supposed to go straight unless I have an input on left or right, which would be like you're on the back leaning left. Were you going left whenever you were doing this?
No, I was so shaky, I think,
and
nervous.
Saying this?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were balanced.
Not like that. It was bigger. No. It was bigger than that. It was like I just didn't know what I was doing. But they were very patient with me. It's not like I wasn't getting out of the lane of travel that I was supposed to be in, but I was barely staying in it at times.
Okay.
So it took a while for me to get comfortable with the bike. I just don't want to lie about this experience. Like,
sure.
It's not like I picked it up immediately and was great. But once we started in on the bigger exercises where it was like repetition over and over again, so it's hard for me to remember each one, but they had us, to start, it was always going in straight lines, and then like we had to turn ourselves around without actually cornering because that wasn't what the practice was for yet. It was really just to make sure that we knew how to go straight and stop, and a lot of like the pause without putting your, what are you doing?
Swirl.
Okay. Pause without putting your feet down. Those were fine. That was easy.
And did you have any fuck-ups where, like, you forgot to pull the clutch in, you stalled it, or, like, those kind of things?
I stalled it one time, which was actually, they informed me, fewer times than anybody else, because the other three guys stalled it twice each, and it was an accidental stall at the very end.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm so sorry, and they were like, no, you've been fine, and it's not like you've been stalling it this whole time, this is the only time.
Exactly, yeah.
They had us do going down 15 miles an hour and then a very quick stop with both brakes.
Okay.
I was fine with that.
Did you skid at all?
No, I was fine with that.
Cool. And you kind of followed the whole, like, let's squeeze and apply pressure like this as opposed to, like, a handful of brake.
Right, but it was quicker than that. I don't want you to do it with me on the back.
But you also used more fingers than just two, didn't you?
We had to use all four, and we had to use the back brake in addition to the front brake. So it was both brakes at the same time. What else? They set up cones for us to like zigzag in and out of. That's not what they were calling it. I don't remember what it was called. But I was good at that if they were in a straight line. When they started staggering them unevenly, I had a harder time with them.
You probably weren't doing exercise with a guy standing in front of you. You have to go around him and then come to a stop. That's probably tomorrow.
No, tomorrow they set up cones and they call it a bus, and you have to swerve to miss that.
Yeah. That's the swerve. There's also an S. Did you do an S?
We did an S today, but that's not part of the test tomorrow.
Okay.
I hated the S. The S was, we did the box that you then went straight to the S.
Did what I explained to you about counter steering, did that start to make sense though?
Yeah, but I still don't think it makes sense out loud. Like, it makes sense intuitively when I'm on the bike.
So you're pushing. That makes sense.
But I can't listen to people talk about it because it doesn't make sense. But when I'm doing it, it makes sense. I was very good at cornering.
Okay.
I had no issues with cornering. They did a whole thing where we would go straight and bring it up to second gear, and then as we were going around no, that's not true. We were going straight, we would bring it down to first gear, entering the corner.
Okay.
And then midway through the corner, we'd go up to second gear.
Oh, that's good.
And then halfway down, we'd go down to first, second. It was that whole thing, like for an oval, many, many, many times, just for us to work on shifting.
And most of us that's great, because most of us that are doing cornering, you pick a gear and you stay in it. So you want to
they didn't want that.
You decrease speed, pick a gear that's most appropriate, and then increase throttle as you exit the
and this was one of the final quartering exercises. It's not like we started there, right? Like we were doing first gear all the way around to work on corners at first because they wanted to make sure we knew how to corner.
Which, honestly, what they did though is almost like an expert kind of thing. I mean, for someone that hasn't been on a bike before, that's pretty impressive.
And I won't lie. Again, it's not like I was perfect at the beginning of any of these exercises. Like the first time around, I kept getting it. My bike, for some reason, compared to the rest, was really easy to put into neutral instead of second.
Yep.
And so I would accidentally put it into neutral, look down and go, oh shit, and then get back up to second. But it would be like just time to get it down to first. And so I was having some issues initially, but then once I figured out like how hard I had to kick up to get it to second, it was fine. A lot of the other guys, well, all three of the other guys were having a hard time getting it into neutral once we went into the staging area where we would stop and dismount and, you know, take very short breaks.
Well, I would say that finding neutral on German bikes is going to be a little bit more challenging for you, but you rarely have to ever be in neutral, to be honest.
Well, I mean, like, on these bikes, we had to be in neutral to start them.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I never use neutral until I'm rolling this thing around the parking lot.
Yeah.
But like with you off the bike rolling it around.
And then the box was awful. I hated it. I mean, I wasn't actually bad at it. Nobody dropped their bikes. I was not the best at it, but
If I remember correctly, if you nail everything else and only dab twice in the box, you'll still pass.
Oh no, she told us, given where we were all at today, even if we had to, none of us will have to because we didn't have to today, but even if we had to fast walk the bike the entire time around the box, we would all still pass.
I kind of feel like this Harley dealership just wants to pass you guys, which, you know, they're following the MSF program.
I don't know that that's true though, because one of the other girls that was there, not the one that broke her leg in April, but another one that was there in July, was counseled out.
Oh.
And that's why she's back. I mean, I hear what you're saying, right? Like, I talked to my brother and my dad, and both of them were like, what do you mean you're already done with the first day of riding? We were there for an entire day, not at this place, but elsewhere. But I do feel like we got through a lot. Okay. And they had us repeating things so much that, like, I would suck at the beginning of it, but then by the end I felt like I got it. The only exception was those staggered swerves.
All right, so what do you have to work on for tomorrow? Like, what do you think about tonight that's for tomorrow's class?
I don't know. I'm probably going to have a nightmare about that box and the figure eight.
Well, we're going to work on that all the way out of here.
Well, I don't think you doing it's going to help me. I wasn't that bad, but I couldn't do it without dabbing twice. The 2 times at the end we finished because 2 of us finally were able to do it with just dabbing twice. Before that, I was dabbing, 4 times.
I have a question for you, though.
Yeah.
In the box, was your clutch pulled in, or were you giving it constant throttle?
So that was my problem in the beginning. My clutch was all the way in.
Yep.
But once I had it back in that friction zone, it was better.
Yeah.
And I think what I need to focus on tomorrow is to shift my weight so that when I'm going when I'm turning really tight to the right, my weight's a little bit more to the left so that it doesn't feel like the bike's gonna fall.
Yeah.
But they said the only way that you automatically fail is if you drop the bike.
Okay.
They're not promising that we're all going to pass tomorrow, but they said that based on our performances today, they're not concerned about any of us not passing.
Okay. Well, that's good.
And again, they have canceled people out of this, and people have failed, and others have broken limbs. So I feel pretty good about today.
Do they offer you makeup days where you can come back for like a lower price and just do one day?
There's so the main instructor, Rick, who was there last night and who does the PM instructing, I had a couple teaching us this morning on the range, but the one dude was going to be doing the afternoons, which I'm not in, and he said for $90 you can have him give you a private instruction for like 2.5 hours up on the range, work 1-to-1, and then come back for free because you don't pay again if you fail.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
I don't plan on failing though. I really feel okay about it. I'm glad that they do it in the way that they do it. Makes sense that it's like all these little building blocks. I'm sure it's boring as hell for people who have been on bikes before.
No.
And I did feel like I was slowing down the other 3 guys. So at the end I said to them when the instructors weren't right there, like I really hope that you guys weren't getting totally sick of me going a little slower at times, or me them giving me a little bit further instruction on something, and they were all totally fine with it.
Yeah.
I'm sure the PM class is going to be a shit show because it's 6 people who only 1 has ever even attempted to ride a bike. 2 have either failed out or are just did not make it through a course because of a broken limb, and then the others just haven't been on a bike. So
yeah,
I don't think it was too bad.
Are you starting to notice things that I do after the class? Like, are you noticing more of my lane position stuff, or how I'm cornering, or the throttle changes I'm making? Like, is that on your mind yet, or do you have to experience it to really start?
If you're talking, for some reason we're disconnected.
Did I lose you?
Oh, now I can hear you.
Oh, so are you noticing more of my throttling or my clutch work or like my lane position, or are you like right here?
Well, now I know when you're shifting, I know what that sound is.
But like I'm on the inside of that, so she can see my lights. So I'm here, so she can see the lights. If I was on the inside corner, then the person on there might not see me. So I kind of keep an outside line.
That's the kind of stuff that we talked about with PowerPoints, but I think I'm not really going to figure out until I'm on a bike.
Okay.
I understand that it's important, but no, that's not something that I'm paying attention to. I'm hearing you shift. I'm hearing how you're shifting. I'm seeing decisions that you're making with speed. Oh, we did a lot of work. Well, that was part of the going down to first and then up to second, but a lot of work with just engine braking. We weren't allowed to use our brakes in that exercise.
Yeah, that makes sense though.
I mean, they said if we had to use the rear brake, but don't do it if you can get away with not using your brake, and none of us did. Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good first day. We got through 10 out of the 17 exercises that are required for this MSF class.
Wow.
I don't want to be on your bike while you're doing a tight figure eight.
You're not. I'll probably get kicked out anyway, this place. Isn't this where you wanted to practice when you first got your license?
Yeah, but I don't know if they're going to let me.
Well, the Shrine gift shop is open. That's my problem.
Yeah. It's 20 feet by 60-ish.
But does it look like it's probably 2 parking spots?
Yeah.
I think they told us they want you to be able to do a U-turn on a normal road.
Yeah.
So without having to do a 3-point turn, basically.
Yeah.
So when we were in the BMW course, what they were saying that as soon as you take power away from your rear wheel by pulling the clutch in, that's the second you're going to dump it, because there's no more power that's keeping you upright, basically.
Say that one more time.
So when you remove power from the rear wheel while pulling the clutch in, that's when you're going to fall, because you
in a parking lot.
In low speed maneuvers.
Yeah.
You think you don't need the clutch, but you really actually do need to keep power on. That's what you were saying a few minutes ago, where when you kept the friction zone in, you were able to actually keep...
That said, the only exception that I found to that rule was that one, the little S-turns that they had us doing after the box.
So when I'm here, I'm just going to do a normal U-turn to there. You want to keep this clutch. Once you have that connection, you want to keep it on. And you, as a newbie, you can kind of feather like this and then dab. But the better thing to do would be to, when you're in the corner, look where you want to go, but then keep that power on. And by keeping the clutch actually all the way out, you're able to make the corner, believe it or not. Did I lose you?
No, you're just loud.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's because we're not on the road anymore.
So when I pull the clutch in, I'll show you again. I'm doing this turn. I'm going to pull the clutch in, and I'm actually having to like counter lean in order to keep it from falling. But if I keep the clutch out, it feels like it's going to stall, but it doesn't actually stall as long as you keep the clutch.
That's why we did so much, like, they kept calling it the friction zone, where your clutch is sort of half out, but you're on the throttle a little bit, so that you're still moving along, but you're not quite all the way in first gear going in that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
They had us do the friction zone work a ton. Like, almost every single exercise had a path of friction zone work. For this reason, I think, because... But again, I feel pretty good about the fact that I didn't drop the bike on my very first day, and there were plenty of opportunities to.
So you only ever touch the ground on the box, basically?
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
The box and the really sharp S-turns they had us do.
You're going to be cheating a little bit when you get your bike, because your bike has ABS, so you can grab a bunch of brake, it's not going to do anything. Where they really are afraid of you braking as a newbie on the Street 500.
The only time I grabbed a lot of brake today was when we had to stop quickly, but it was still a squeeze. I didn't get thrown, and it didn't look to them like I did it too quickly, and it didn't feel to me like I did it too quickly. Good. But it was a lot of brake.
Yeah, nice.
But it's because we were told we had to, as soon as they threw their arm, first there were cones, and we had to go down like 15 miles an hour and stop as quickly as we could at the cone. Mm-hmm. But then the second portion was they were standing at the end, and as soon as they threw their arms up, you had to stop as fast as you could, so that it wasn't like you knew what was coming.
And stop meaning clutch and both brakes.
Right.
Yeah. And were you able to put your foot down though after the stop?
Well, I always had to put my foot down at stops.
You couldn't come to a stop and balance and then go again?
No, I did. We had to do that too. That was the pause and go.
Sounds like you did a lot today.
You had to pause and then continue without putting your feet down. But anytime that they wanted us to come to a full stop, we had to put our feet down. That was what they kept telling us.
Is there anything else that you wanted to go over today?
I don't think so.
Okay, so tomorrow is your test, basically.
Well, 7 more exercises, repeating the box because so many of us wanted more practice, which is why they had us start today, and then the test.
Okay, sweet, good job.
I know you feel like it was really short, but honestly, we got through a lot, obviously.
I told you when you get out of this class that you're not going to be a great rider. Just passing the class, you know, is step 1 of your journey.
No, I know.
But do you have regret still about the BMW, or do you feel like a cruiser is more your style now?
I hate that cruiser.
Come on, if you like it, you can like it. It's okay.
I would tell you, I hate that cruiser.
Okay.
It's putting up with me as I abuse it, and I'm glad to be abusing it instead of my bike initially.
Right.
But no.
Okay.
I want nothing to do with that thing.